Well, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things, we have some stuff and some things to talk about, including things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Plays, upcoming videos. We will also be talking about a new series that I'm starting on the channel. There will be a new video about that this coming Wednesday. I think you're going to like it. And then we had a question from someone asking me about drinking alcohol, and whether or not they know that I don't really do it very often, and they're kind of wondering why. I thought that might be kind of the main topic of the show because it's kind of interesting. Several people have asked me about this. And then of course we have your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings. So let's get into it. All right, so what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Plays? Well, I mentioned a brand new series, and last week, and we're gonna have some feedback about this, I was talking about whether or not you would like to see me reviewing blends that I didn't think I was going to enjoy. And a lot of people said no, a lot of people said yes, it was kind of a 50-50 sort of thing. But bearing that in mind, I have decided to start a new series on the channel, and it is called I'm Not Going to Like This. And basically, it's not going to be completely confined to pipe blends. It could be anything that I don't think things that I don't think I'll like, but I have an open mind about maybe enjoying them. And so the very first thing we're gonna be talking about is this, Mac Baren Vanilla Roll Cake. This is an aromatic blend. I typically don't like aromatic blends, and I thought it would be fun to do not my normal kind of pipe blend review where we have the first impressions video, which is what I typically do first. It's the first time I've ever tried a blend. I give you my initial thoughts. Then I sit with it for a week or so, and then I give you the full review once I really feel as though I know what the blend is all about. This one is it's kind of a combination of a first impressions video and a review. It's me saying, this is something that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like. I'm not going to do a full review on it, but I'm willing to try it to see if maybe I do like it. Just by some strange happenstance, I might actually enjoy it. And so I did this review, this new video in the series, I'm Not Going to Like This. And if you watch on Wednesday, you will find out the answer as to whether or not I did in fact dislike Mac Baren Vanilla Roll Cake. I'm assuming that most of you in the comments, if you want to leave me your predictions, you'll probably know which way I'm going to go on this blend, but I think it's a good video. I think it's going to be a fun series too, and if you have any suggestions for things you would like me to try, and not just like, I would like you to try rotting meat, because I don't think you're going to like that. I know. Things that maybe I might enjoy, but you have an idea that I probably won't. I don't know. It's a series that could be kind of evolving as we go along, but I just thought it would be fun, and that is, I'm Not Going to Like This. And the first episode is about Mac Baren Vanilla Roll Cake. And then of course, on Stuff and Things Plays, we have the Deathloop series continuing. I think we still have 2 weeks of that, maybe, until that's over, and then Elden Ring, probably one of the best games that has ever been made. I am in the middle of a series with Elden Ring, The New Adventures of Kevin the Kurt, and it is absolutely fantastic. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday are new videos on Stuff and Things Plays, and then the I'm Not Going to Like This video will be out this Wednesday on Stuff and Things. Please look forward to it. Now, we had a question from our good friend Dan via YouTube, and Dan asks this. You've mentioned several times that you don't really drink. I was just wondering if there was a reason for that. Are you opposed to alcohol? Just curious. Love the channel. Thank you, Dan, and thank you for the question. This is kind of funny considering the fact that I just, within the last couple weeks, posted a how to do Stuff and Things video where I was making the old-fashioned drink. That's whiskey and bitters. It's a drink. It's alcohol. So it's suffice to say, I don't hate alcohol. I'm not the kind of person who completely refuses to drink ever. But this has come up several times where people have asked me to review whiskeys or review different alcohols or review beers, or asking me what kind of alcoholic drink they should pair with a particular pipe blend and things like that. And I've always said, you know, I don't really drink. I'm not really an expert on any of that, so it's not something that I would really do videos on probably. And so now Dan wants to know why. I guess if we just go into the history, I have no moral objection to alcohol. Like I said, I do have a drink every once in a while. There have been times in my life where I definitely drank more. In my 20s, I guess, yeah, I didn't start drinking till I was like 20, I think, maybe 20, 21. So early 20s, throughout my 20s, even into my 30s, quite a bit. I did drink often, but it was because I went out all the time. Like I went out 4 or 5 nights a week back in the day, which was probably not great, especially because during some of that period I was doing construction and I would be out till, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30 at night drinking, and then I would get 3 or 4 hours of sleep and then have to wake up in the morning and go to work. That was just kind of the lifestyle I was living. But even though I was drinking on quite a few different days during that period, I have never, ever been the kind of person to drink at home. And I guess that's the big differentiation between that period in my life and this period. In this period, I don't really go out. Occasionally my fiance and I go out and we do something, but I don't just go out and hang out in bars anymore. And I used to do that a lot in my 20s. And so if I'm not out, I don't feel like drinking. And I guess that's kind of the relationship that I have with alcohol. I don't need alcohol to relax. The only reason I drank when I went out is because it was conducive to the atmosphere of being out, of, getting crazy, having a wild time with your friends. When I am at home, I don't need to do that, or I don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing that. I don't need it to relax. I'm so very much into kind of having a set routine that if I were to drink and then, have trouble sleeping or have trouble waking up the next morning, that would irritate me. Maybe just having a drink with dinner. We do that occasionally, my fiance and I. That's fine, but anything more than that, it's just not really my kind of thing. I've never really been into drinking because of the flavor of the alcohol. I don't particularly love the taste of alcoholic beverages. There are some things that I'm like, okay, that's good. Like a whiskey or the old fashioned that I showed you how to make the other day. I like that. It tastes good. But there aren't that many alcoholic drinks that I would taste and go, this is delicious. I want to drink more of this all the time or every day. Wine is fine. I like it sometimes. It's okay with dinner. It's good to sort of lubricate conversation with maybe someone who you don't know very well. You're getting to know somebody for the first time. But just in general, I just don't like drinking that much. And that's okay. And it's okay if you do. It's just funny that a lot of people ask me about this. And for some people, it almost seems like a weird sticking point. Like maybe they're suspicious of me or like, you're a cop because I don't really like to drink all that much. But it's just personal preference. It's not something that super appeals to me. I don't typically like feeling altered in any way. And obviously there was a period, when I was going out a lot where that was kind of okay, but it was in that specific situation. When I am just at home doing my thing, I don't need to have a depressant put into me, I guess. I'm a very calm, mellow person in general. So yeah, I don't know if that totally answers your question or not. And again, I don't want anyone to think that I'm being judgmental about anyone who does enjoy drinking. The only moral objection I would have with drinking is when people abuse it. If they do it to excess and it starts negatively impacting their lives or the lives of people around them, if they're irresponsible about it, that kind of stuff. But if you enjoy a drink, that's totally fine. Like I said, I do occasionally, but very occasionally. So there you go, Dan. I hope that answered your question. But speaking of questions, we have we have several more in the hashtag askstuffandthings portion of the show. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, tweet at @SATBradley with the hashtag askstuffandthings, and I will do my best to answer you. Also, you can leave questions via YouTube comments. I try to go through all of those comments and pick out questions. If you are a Patreon supporter, you can also ask me questions on there. And the first question comes via Patreon from our good friend Aaron H. Aaron says, how is your Savinelli Corallo pipe? How is the Capri Root Briar pipe? I also like their appearance. And you have said they are good essers. You've had them for a number of years now. Are you still a fan? Also, is the unique exterior bowl surface difficult to keep clean? Thanks, Aaron from Rhode Island. Thanks for the question, Aaron, and thanks for the support on Patreon. I totally forgot to bring either of those with me. I don't ever really use the Capri Root anymore. I'm trying to remember if I still even have that. But the Corallo di Mare is a beautiful pipe, and it's an amazing esser, and I use it all the time. It's part of my weekly rotation. It's lovely. It is darkened a lot. It was a virgin finish, so basically, if you go back and look at that video, I did a pretty in-depth video of that years ago about that Corallo di Mare pipe. It's basically the same kind of, or a similar finish as the Castello Sea Rock. It's a very hand rusticated, looks kind of like sea coral or an undersea sort of scape. So it's kind of rough to the feel. It's not like a sandblast pipe, but the Corallo di Mare is completely unfinished. It's a virgin pipe, so it takes on a lot of color, kind of almost like a meerschaum pipe does after you've essed it for a long time. And so mine is really dark. I don't really try to keep the exterior bowl surface clean. It just colors the way it colors. I don't really polish it or do anything to it. The only thing is I'll maybe rub down the rim after I'm done with it, but it's a fantastic pipe, and it still is one of my very best as far as its actual mechanics and how it works. So it's a good one. Next, we have a question via YouTube. This is from Josh Will. Josh says, I've been watching forever. Love the videos. Thank you, Josh. One question, what is the watch on your wrist? I love the simplicity of the dial and have been eyeing it for quite a while now. People keep asking me about this, and we've talked about in the past maybe doing a review on it, but it is no longer available. Let me get close so you can see that, maybe. It is a Bulova Accutron Gemini wristwatch. And Bulova, I think, was an American watch company, and I don't think they're made in the US anymore. I'm sure they're probably owned by one of the very large watchmaking companies. This particular one is a mechanical watch. It is not automatic. You have to wind it manually every morning. But yeah, it's just a nice, simple dial. That's why I like it. And it works well. It's starting to lose time pretty badly. I think I need to bring it in and have it serviced. I don't know if on the escapement, if there's actually an adjustment on this watch or not. But it's a Swiss movement, and I think it was a movement that was originally for pocket watches, and so it's fairly simple. There isn't a center hand or center seconds hand. It's a separate seconds hand down there. There's no date or anything like that. So it should be fairly easy. Well, I can say that. It should be fairly easy to service if you know anything about mechanical watches, I guess. So I'm gonna have to look into that, finding someone local who could take a look and see if it needs to be cleaned or adjusted somehow. But it loses, I don't know, a good amount of time. I have to set it every other day. Anyway, I like it. I think it looks nice. And thank you for the question. Now we have some feedback. On last week's Sunday Stuff and Things, we were talking a lot about whether or not you would like to see me review blends that I don't think I'm going to enjoy, and I guess I've sort of answered that question because we have that brand new series, I'm Not Going to Like This. But we had a lot of good feedback from you guys. First of all, via YouTube comments from Razorback Piper Guy. I'd love to see reviews, even if you don't like the thing you were reviewing. Taste is so subjective. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's bad. That is true. It just means it doesn't line up with my particular taste. Bring 'em on. Thank you. Next, Joshua Smith says, From what I've seen, even for the blends you do enjoy, you temper your reviews with caveats and nuance. It's pretty rare that you give a full-on endorsement. So I guess I'm saying I like the criticism level as it stands and wouldn't ask you to review, quote, bad blends because you're already critical enough of the good ones. Incidentally, a bad blend for me is Autumn Evening. I don't need to be waterboarded with maple syrup, thank you. Interesting take there. Next, from Pacifique73, I think you definitely should review more teas than just what you think you will like. Even if you don't enjoy it a lot, I think you are, I'm not sure what you're trying to say there, I guess particular enough to judge a tea in a way that we can have a good, partial opinion of it. We can make our own opinion afterward, but having a reference is always a good base to make your own choices. I don't take your opinion as an umpire, but as a comparative to my own taste. So yeah, I see what you're saying there, and I think there is some value in that. So, you know, the I don't think I'll, what is the series called? I'm not going to like this. That is maybe a little more tongue-in-cheek, or it's a little more heightened, like, oh, I'm definitely not gonna like this, let's see if I do. But there might be blends that are a little bit more of a gray area that I might look into more, even if I think, this might not be my cup of tea, maybe it would be useful for you to see me review it. Next, from MDoftheNorth, a Patreon supporter. Nah, don't waste your time on reviews of teas you don't like. Definitely sample something new every now and then, you might be surprised, but life's too short to waste a couple of weeks getting through a gross tin. And that is a very good point as well, and that's kind of why I have avoided those blends thus far. Next, from Sean Rees, please review blends you like and don't like. Some of your funniest reviews are for blends you don't like. Also, reviewing both adds to your objectivity because we hear the full continuum of blends. Reviewing blends you don't like still helps because you still describe the flavor profile, so your viewers can possibly still try them. You didn't like Royal Yacht, but your review helped me identify that plum flavor you described. Thank you very much. From Brimery Death, review the blends that appeal to you, but I can suggest that you review blends that people can get. Esoterica and small batch C&D blends are nearly impossible to get, and they don't need your review to increase people's interest. Robert Lewis, Ashley, Hearth & Home, C&D, F&T, and others all make blends that are available and enjoyable. You have reviewed a lot of GLPs and most of the Peterson Dunhill blends. I take your point there, Brimery Death, but I'm not reviewing blends to drum up enthusiasm about them. I'm reviewing them because I think they're interesting, and even though there are definitely things that I think, okay, this is just no longer in production anymore, so I'm not going to bother reviewing it. But for some of those blends, like the Esoterica blends in particular, many people are really interested in hearing people's opinions on these blends, and that's why I would review them, even if they're difficult to get. So I'm not trying to increase people's interest in a blend. I'm just trying to show you something interesting. So that's kind of the reason why I would review some of those blends that are a little harder to get. Next, from Alexandra Giacome, sorry if I'm butchering that. I'd love to see a return of the OTC series, the over-the-counter series. You've done 3 of them, but there is a lot more. Maybe some of them might surprise you. Keep it up. And I guess they mean blends like Mixture Number 79, Prince Albert, the kinds of blends that in the US anyway, you used to be able to get in drugstores. And that's something I've considered. I might go back to that at some point. And finally, from Dalton Valesky, Elden Ring is not my type of game. Blasphemy. But I have loved watching others enjoy the game and seeing all the hidden gems placed into it. What I have really disliked is other game developers from other companies talking crap about Elden Ring. It truly worries me that game developers either would rather spend their time talking I'll say it, shit about other games instead of improving their own. Or the second option, they no longer know what a good quality game looks like to the masses. Neither are a comforting thought for us that love gaming in general. Thank you, Dalton. And I think, I'm not sure if this is what you're referring to, but I guess there was some sort of Twitter snafu where there were some Ubisoft developers who were criticizing the game design of Elden Ring. And I don't know. I mean, people can have their opinions, especially game developers who are, in the trenches making games, but I, for one, have been pleasantly surprised by the response that Elden Ring has gotten because I have loved these FromSoft games for a very long time, and it's always been slightly worrying to me that even though they have their really rabid fans, that they didn't get a lot of, they didn't do a lot of sales, they didn't seem to penetrate into the general video game market, and I was worried that maybe eventually they would stop being made because they just weren't getting enough success. But Elden Ring has sold so well that there are some dangers, like, okay, maybe now it's gonna get too mainstream and it'll become diluted, but I am happy to see that FromSoft is finally being rewarded for making these amazing games that they've been making for over a decade now. And I think it's really cool. And yeah, if other developers don't like them, that's fine, make whatever game you want, but I do think a lot of people could learn a lot from FromSoft about not holding the player's hand too much, treating them as though they are an intelligent person, because I think I'm fairly intelligent, I can figure things out, and I enjoy having a little bit of challenge. I don't need everything just like served to me on a platter. And maybe that can be good in some situations where you're playing a game that's basically just like a interactive film, where you're going along, you're enjoying the story, but I like puzzling things out. I like teasing out things and really getting stuck in and exploring, and I don't know, that's kind of what I enjoy, and the Elden Ring, or the Soulsborne FromSoft game series, has that in spades. But gang, thank you so much for your feedback. Please keep that coming in. Questions, feedback, comments, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it and really enjoy it. But now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. It is super, super appreciated by me that all these people out there are supporting the channels on Patreon. There are a lot of videos like the one that I'm just gonna post this Wednesday, the Mac Baren vanilla roll cake video, that I cannot monetize because I mentioned the dreaded T word in those videos and do things within them that are considered self-harm by YouTube. Basically just enjoying a pipe blend. So the only way that we can get revenue from those videos is via people supporting the channels on Patreon. So it's very much appreciated. There is a link in the description box below if you would like to lend your support. But every week we thank those who support the channels at $25 or more a month. People like Kirk Crompton, Private Eye, Glenn, Jason Buckner, Gloria Phillips, Matt Marino, MDoftheNorth, and David Gaudreau. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month. People like Peter Straub, Bob Magee, and Ashes of the Phoenix. Thank you all so much. It means so much to have your support, and thank you all so much for watching, subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, all that good stuff on these videos every single week. Please stay tuned for the I'm Not Going to Like This, the very first episode of the I'm Not Going to Like This series about Mac Baren Vanilla Roll Cake, also Elden Ring and Deathloop videos on Stuff and Things Plays. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley, you've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.